So, welcome to the second Ginetta GT5 notebook. And this week, the Ginetta went around Donington Park GP circuit. Slight change from last year. Last year, they did the national layout. But the other thing was, this year, the drivers had a bit of a change in weather compared to Brands Hatch. This week they were in the rain. It was far from ideal, and I think a few drivers did struggle in it. But moving on to the first race, the sprint race, the qualifying, it was Boy Raxer who took pole position, but Liam Atherso on his return after missing out on week 1 put it on second place for A&L Racing. Jamie FL30 qualified in third, followed by AMH Racing, RS Jim, Cam123 Diz, Adam Morris, Fraser, Till was 11, Miracle Slide was having a go, he put it in 10th, Sandwalk 3 was 11th, Shock Shaft was in 12th place, Stuke 1986 was in 13th, Yorkshire Stick 14th, Jeff Lepp 69 was in 15th, and Afcape rounding out with 16th, not liking the conditions at all. So the race got underway, and Boy Raxer, a fantastic start. He kept Liam Atherso at bay off the start line, and it was a generally quiet first lap for the Ginettas, being aware, everyone just making sure they got round the first corners, and generally making sure they had enough there to have a good race. Then we move on to lap 2, where Cam almost lost the back end at Red Gate. He had a massive wiggle, and then it eventually went and spun. It's a bit of a shame for him. RS Jim lost a lot of time. He actually ended up going wide at Red Gate onto the grass, not where he wanted to be. He ended up going down to position number 8. So, far from ideal from the former champion. Stuke 1986, he went off at McLean's to go down to position 11. Very unlucky again, just got caught out by the conditions. Then, as he kept going on, Afcape went down to P15. He made a mistake of some sort during the lap. So he wasn't doing so well after lap 1. At this point, Till was 11, was up into 10th. So again, working off the rust in race 1, especially in the wet conditions. Never driven in those conditions with that car in the patches it's had in recent months. So that was something interesting to see Tills accommodate for that. Then we move on to lap 3, and Jamie ended up passing Liam through the Carrera curves and into the old hairpin for the second place. Brilliant bit of battling by the two, really clean. And Cam started to have a look at AMH Racing into the Melbourne hairpin. Again, just a slight look, not enough to actually overtake him. But courtesy of that, going up to Goddard's, which is the final corner at Donington Park, AMH actually passed his teammate for 3rd place, and Cam couldn't quite get a move done. He was positioned on the wrong side. He was positioned on the outside, if I correctly remember, and he couldn't get past Liam, so it ended up the two A&L cars swapped places. But then on lap 4, Cam passed Liam Atherso after the chicane, the Fokker DS's, and he went up to P4. So really, really good battle between Liam Atherso, Cam123 Diz, AMH. Then moving on to the final lap, because it was only a 5-lap race in the end. He kind of went a bit interesting, because Cam went wide into the gravel out of the Fokker TS's, which put him down to 6th. And during lap number 5, Jamie had caught up to Boy Raxer significantly through lap 4. He was right on the tail of Boyraxer going into the lap number 5. And this made for a really interesting battle. Jamie was right on Boyrax's tail right until the line, but he just couldn't quite get there. He couldn't quite overtake Boyraxer, and that meant that Boyraxer had his perfect start with 2 wins from Brands Hatch, continuing to here with pole position and a 3rd win of 3. So it was a really, really good start to the night for Boyraxer. And in the end, Boyraxer finished on pole, finished with 1st place. Jamie F30 came 2nd, which was good. He moved up a position, as did AMH in 3rd. Liam Thurso ended up being in 4th. Adam Morris into 5th. Cam 23 Diz in 6th. Fraser 7th. And then RS Jim in 8th. He dropped 3 positions after his excursion at Redgate. Tilbs stayed in 9th place. Sandwalk went up to 10th. Stuka 1986 went up to 11th. Shockshaft stayed in 12th. Yorkshire Stig up to 13th. Jeff Lepp up to 14th. Afcape got disconnected, so he would get 15th and probably no points. And Miracle Slide also got disconnected quite early on in the race. So then we move on to the feature race. Now, the feature race was where everything was going to be absolutely chaotic. It was raining, you had to make a pit stop, and the drivers had 22 grueling laps ahead of them. Now, obviously, the top 5 from the first race weren't allowed to qualify, and they were Jamie F30, Boyraxer 14, Liam Thurso, Adam Morris, and AMH Racing. So the grid was nicely shaped up. You had Fraser put it on pole, Cam123D's put it alongside him on that front row, so it wasn't a bad front row, it was a really top draw. I think Fraser, Renault Esports finalist, so definitely not rubbish. Tilb ended up putting it 3rd on the grid, and this was quite significant for him because he put it 9th in race 1 and 3rd, and he got up 6 places, meaning he had beaten RS Jim in the process. So that was a good start to the second set of sessions for Tilbs. RS Jim put it on 4th, Shockshaft 5th, a really good qualifying from him, Sandwalk 3, 6th, Yorkshire Stig 7th, Stuka 1986 was 8th, Jeff Lepp put it 9th with Afcape, the last of the qualifiers, in 10th. So not quite where he would have wanted to be, but I think he's the first to admit, really, that he's not the quickest around tracks in wet conditions. AMH ended up starting 11th, Adam Morris 12th, Liam Thurso 13th, Boyraxer was 14th with Jamie for 30 and 15th. Now, the race start came, and man, oh man, was it a belting start. Cam ended up having a very good start. He actually got past Fraser into 1st place at Redgate, and it was a really good move actually. Around the outside of Redgate, managed to make it stick, and Tilbs kept along with him. RS Jim ended up on the grass at Redgate, and he went down to 13th, so he was behind quite a few of the runners who didn't qualify, which is not a good start. Yorkshire Stig passed Afcape into P5, so there was a real big change up. Afcape had an amazing start, ended up in P5 until Yorkshire Stig passed him. And then Adam Morris overtook both of them for 5th place. So, and AMH again overtook both for 6th place respectively. So it was a really, really good little thing to see Yorkshire Stig and Afcape get a really good start, and ended up actually kind of battling with Adam Morris and AMH, who are top guys in this league. And they did battle him for a few corners. They had a good little scrap. So obviously those guys were fantastic to watch battling. Then unfortunately AFCAPE spun at Goddard's, which was the final corner, and it dropped him to 13th, so he ended up going in the pits. On to lap 2, AMH passed Adam for position 4 in the end. So again, a good little scrap between them. Lap 3, Fraser ended up passing Cam at the old hairpin for first place. Again, really good racing in the end. Couldn't have asked for a better little scrap through the Craners. And on the same lap, the SB Racing guys of Stuck and Yorkshire Stig were battling each other. So definitely no team orders being placed there. Move on to lap 5, Cam lost at Red Gate, goes onto the grass, but ended up still being at position 3. And then Cam pits on the same lap, so AMH got put up into the podium positions. A really good effort. On to lap number 8, and puddles began to form at the Fogarty S's. It wasn't ideal. Liam at Thurso ended up passing Adam into P5 on lap number 9. AMH and Boyrax ended up passing Tilbs to go position 2 and 3 at Coppice on the same lap. It was really good racing all around, really. Liam and Adam then jump Cam coming through the pit stops. They got a decent lead over him, but ultimately they did overtake him in the pit stops. AMH then took the lead away from Fraser, and then Boyraxa took the lead away from AMH. Fraser then spun, and that was at McLean's, so that was him out of P2 into P3. Boyraxa then got away. AMH had spun at the Fogarty S's due to the standing order. He went down to P6. On lap 12, AMH goes off at the Fogarty S's again. At lap 13, AMH off at the Fogarty S's. Adam Morris went up to P5. Tilbs and Cam cut the chicane due to the water. Liam went up to position 2. Cam then spun at the chicane and went down to P8. Adam had a good go at Tilbs in the Melbourne hairpin, but it doesn't work. On lap 16, on to lap 17, Adam Morris pushes Tilbs. He passes Tilbs at the old hairpin for position 3. AMH then passes Tilbs later on at McLean's. Cam ended up losing, having a Larry moment at Red Gate. AMH then passed Adam Morris on lap 18 at McLean's for position 3. Liam and Adam then went wide through the Fogarty S's. Liam then went wide at Fogarty S's again at lap 19, went down to P4. AMH went down to P5. Tills had a go, but it just couldn't work, and Adam ended up being at P2. AMH then passed Liam at McLean's for position 3, and then he tags Adam, which makes him lose momentum, and has a moment out of the old hairpin, which he then lost through to Liam on lap 21. But on the same lap, Liam was slow at the Fogarty S's, and he slowed up AMH. AMH then passed Liam for 3rd, and then on the final lap, Adam Morris goes wide at the Fogarty S's and loses 2nd place and 3rd place to the A&L boys, AMH and Liam respectively. But again, it was Boyraxa who took another win, followed by AMH Racing, Liam at Thurso, Adam Morris, Tilbs, Jamie. Jim 77 was 7th. Fraser, Yorkshire Stick, Half Cape, Stuck 1986. Jeff Lep 69, Cam ended up retiring. Sandrock 3 didn't ready up in time, so he didn't actually make the race, and Shockshack got disconnected in qualifying. Promise he couldn't then rejoin the race after that. So a few comments from the drivers. Liam Thurso, solid points including a podium at round 2. So he did get wiped out by Stuck in the feature race, but ultimately still finished 3rd, which is not a bad position. Rated the overall race at 7. He enjoys Bugatti. Strong track for him when he raced GT cars, and he's hoping for 2 podiums. AMH, he thought his round 2 not as well as he'd hoped. He said that race 1 went fairly well with a 3rd place. He couldn't catch Boyraxer and Jamie. Race 2 was going great until his outlap from making his stop. He spun on colder tyres and then kept having dramas in the chicane, or lake as he should call it. Apart from the chicane, no real incidents. He ranked 10A, so really good rating. He likes Le Mans Bugatti, and always he expects at least 1 win, but he's saying he needs to start beating Boyraxer to consistently have any shot at winning this title. Half Cape said his race 1 disconnect, race 2 he said it was okay. He said he had connection issues and also people trying to overtake too quickly during the race. He ranked at a 4, so obviously not great for him. And he's just put holiday for round 3 because he was meant to be on holiday, but I think he will be making it. So no expectations from him. Sandwalk 3 had a good sprint race, took a bit of cautious as it was his first race in the championship, but he kept on the black stuff. Other than his stupidity of not pressing the ready button on the feature race, he didn't have any incidents. He rated the race at 8 though, so really good. He's never driven Le Mans Bugatti, and he'll be happy with a top 10 finish for both races. Yorkshire Stig, he thought he went rubbish. He said he would have done better in a boat. He didn't have any instances of problems. He rated it a 3 though, because obviously the rain made it very difficult for him. He hasn't been on Le Mans Bugatti track, and just to finish in the top 8 is his expectations. Jeff Lep 69 said he had a nightmare. His goal was to be consistent and hopefully on the pace. He doesn't think he managed a clean lap in either race. Any instance of problems, he said, a severe lack of talent and no wet weather experience at all. So he rated it a 1. He's more familiar with the full Le Mans circuit, but he has been doing some practice and he does like Bugatti. He doesn't know about expectations, but his hope is to have a better showing than round 2 and be consistent and hopefully be racing some other people on circuit. Boyraxer 14, the championship leader, the perfect start for him. Again, he has to say round 2 was a perfect night. I mean, maximum points. 1 or 2 times I was lapping cars that nearly caused a crash. One of these moments happened on the final lap with 1 turn to go, apparently. He rated the race, over race a 10. I mean, why wouldn't he? He enjoyed Le Mans Bugatti last time he raced Ginetta around there. And he's hoping to get onto the podium and score good points. So he's expecting a big challenge, I think, from the rest of the pack. Adam Morris, round 2 didn't go as well as he'd hoped. He's not a fan of the wet racing on the game, so that could be the cause of it. Obviously he's saying the wet ruined the race, and the grid was more spread out than usual, and for the slightly newer drivers it wasn't fun. He rated the race a 4, and he loves Bugatti, is one of his favourites, and his expectation is to win. So he wants to take the fight to his teammate. Tilbs 11, He went a lot better than round 1, back to consistent ways, very challenging conditions, he says. For race 2, he'd preferred a podium, which he felt he deserved. I felt he deserved a podium, to be honest. He raced really well. No incidents or problems, he rated it as 7. Very challenging but fun to drive around at Bugatti, but he has been quick there in the past, so his expectations for it is a top 5 again in at least one race. He needs to improve his qualifying for race 1 though. Fraser, not a brilliant night for him, you could say. He's struggling to match the pace of the front runners. That's all he's saying for round 2. He said it went okay though. Apart from, and again, no incidents apart from the lake. Rated at 4. Fraser saying that he doesn't like Bugatti with the track limits on, so he's happy they're off. But he's hoping there won't be too much cutting of the corners, and a top 5 would be good for him. As for Jamie, F430, he said race 1 was great. He had speed in the car, and he should have been able to win. Race 2, he said there was an incident, so it ruined his race quite early. Basically, 2 cars tangled in front of him. So he looked at them both. He was on the right going into McLean's, and then got turned into, sending him into the gravel. 4 out of 10 for the overall race. He's saying Le Mans Bugatti isn't the best, but he does hope to have a win. So they'll be interested, so do join us for Le Mans Bugatti this week. That is round number 3. But from myself, that is the end of this notebook. Thank you all for listening, and see you on race day.